Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable true silence feels? That moment when you're alone, your phone is in another room, and the world goes quiet, really quiet. Your thoughts start echoing louder than any external noise ever could. If so, you're not alone in this experience. Welcome to the phenomenon I call the silence paradox, where we desperately seek peace and quiet, yet run from it the moment we risk finding it. We live in an age where silence has become our greatest fear, and noise our most constant companion. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in complete silence without reaching for your phone, turning on a podcast, or flicking on the TV? For many of us, the answer might be never. The science behind this phenomenon is fascinating. Our brains are wired to seek stimulation, but modern technology has hijacked this natural inclination. Every notification, every song, every background episode of our favorite show acts as a shield, protecting us from something we're increasingly afraid to face: our own unfiltered thoughts. When we're constantly bombarded with external stimuli, our brain operates in what neuroscientists call a diffuse attention state. It's like having multiple browser tabs open, none getting our full attention, but all providing enough distraction to keep us from focusing on what's happening in our internal world. This constant need for background noise isn't just about avoiding boredom. It's about avoiding ourselves. The silence forces us to confront our anxieties, our unfulfilled dreams, our unprocessed emotions. It's easier to scroll through social media than to sit with the uncertainty of our life choices or the weight of our responsibilities. But here's where it gets interesting. This avoidance creates a vicious cycle. The more we run from silence, the louder our internal chaos becomes. It's like turning up the TV to drown out a leaking pipe. The noise might mask the problem, but the water damage continues to spread. The psychological term for this is emotional suppression through distraction. Every time we use external stimuli to avoid our thoughts, we're essentially telling our brain that these thoughts are too dangerous to confront. This makes them seem more threatening, creating an even stronger urge to avoid them. But here's what's rarely discussed. Noise isn't just auditory. For many, it takes the form of emotional static, self-created chaos that serves the same purpose as those ever-present headphones. Think about the friend who's always entangled in dramatic relationships, or the colleague who can't exist without being at the center of workplace conflict. These aren't just personality traits, they're sophisticated avoidance strategies. Some people become addicted to the noise of constant crisis. They move from emergency to emergency, always putting out fires, some real, many self-created. The perpetual state of urgency becomes their background music, drowning out deeper questions about purpose and fulfillment. It's easier to handle today's crisis than to face tomorrow's emptiness. Others find their noise in the endless pursuit of validation. Social media becomes more than a platform. It transforms into a constant stream of emotional static. Each like, comment, and share acts as a small burst of noise, keeping the silence at bay. The carefully curated online persona becomes another form of running from the self. Then there's the comfort of perpetual victimhood, a particularly insidious form of noise. By maintaining a narrative of constant struggle and unfairness, some find a way to avoid confronting their own power and responsibility. The story of why things happen to me becomes louder than the question of what can I do about it. On the flip side, there's the noise of constant control and self-aggrandizement. Some people fill their silence with an endless narrative of their own importance and capability. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to reinforce this narrative, every interaction a chance to prove their worth. It's exhausting, but it's still easier than facing the quiet moments of self-doubt. Even productivity can become a form of noise. The person who's always busy, always taking on new projects, always hustling, might be running just as hard from silence as someone binge-watching Netflix. Achievement becomes a form of white noise, drowning out questions about whether all this activity actually brings fulfillment. Relationships themselves can become noise. The serial dater who can't be single, the friend who needs constant contact, the parent who over-involves themselves in their children's lives, all might be using connection as a form of distraction. Love and attachment are beautiful, but when they become a way to avoid self-reflection, they transform into another form of running. Recognizing these patterns is crucial because different forms of noise require different approaches to finding silence. Someone addicted to drama might need to practice boring days. A validation seeker might need to experiment with private achievements. The perpetual victim might need to start with small moments of empowerment. The journey to silence isn't just about turning off our phones or sitting in meditation. It's about identifying all the ways we create noise in our lives: emotional, digital, social, and physical. It's about understanding that each form of noise serves a purpose and finding healthier ways to meet those needs. When practicing silence scaling, consider what type of noise you're most dependent on. If it's drama, practice letting small conflicts pass without engagement. If it's validation, try keeping a private achievement to yourself. If it's control, experiment with letting others take the lead. Each form of quiet builds your tolerance for silence in different ways. But what if we could reframe silence not as an enemy, but as a tool? Research shows that our brain actually needs periods of silence to process information, regulate emotions, and maintain mental health. It's during these quiet moments that our mind does its most important work, connecting dots, finding patterns, and making sense of our experiences. Think of silence like a garden. Initially, it might seem empty and uncomfortable, but it's in this space that growth happens. Our thoughts and emotions need room to breathe, just like plants need space to grow. When we constantly flood this space with noise, we're essentially concrete paving our internal garden. The solution isn't to immediately embrace hours of silence. That would be like running a marathon without training. Instead, we can start with small moments of intentional quiet. Begin with just 1 minute of no background noise while doing a simple task. Notice how it feels. Notice the urge to reach for your phone or turn on music. Here's a technique I've developed called silence scaling. Start by identifying your current baseline. How long can you comfortably sit in silence? Then gradually increase this time by 10% each week. The key is to make it so gradual that your brain barely notices the change. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need a silent meditation retreat to practice this. Find pockets of relative quiet in your daily life. Your morning coffee before everyone wakes up, your walk to work without podcasts, or even your shower without music. These moments already exist. We just need to stop filling them with noise. As you practice sitting with silence, something remarkable happens. The internal chaos that seemed so overwhelming begins to organize itself. It's like giving your mind a chance to clean its room. When you turn on the lights and really look, it's usually not as messy as you imagined. The most fascinating part? People who learn to embrace silence often report increased creativity, better decision-making, and improved emotional regulation. It's as if, by turning down the external volume, we turn up our internal wisdom. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all background noise or to never enjoy music or podcasts again. It's about choice, being able to sit with silence when we want to, rather than feeling compelled to fill every moment with sound. It's about finding balance between external stimulation and internal peace. Some people might need more background noise than others, and that's okay. The key is becoming aware of when we're using noise as a crutch versus when we're choosing it as an enhancement to our experience. This awareness alone can be transformative. The irony is that by learning to sit with silence, we often find the peace we were searching for in all that noise. The quiet moments become less threatening and more nurturing. Our thoughts, given space to exist without judgment, often sort themselves out naturally. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. What if the silence you've been running from holds exactly what you've been looking for? What if, beyond the initial discomfort, there's a clarity and peace that no amount of external noise could ever provide? The next time you feel the urge to drown out your thoughts, pause. Take just one breath in silence. Notice what happens. You might find that what you've been avoiding isn't as scary as it seemed. And in that moment of courage, you might just discover a new kind of peace. One that comes not from drowning out your thoughts, but from finally letting them speak. So if this resonated with you, share your experience in the comments below, subscribe for more insights into modern mental wellness, and join our community of people learning to find peace in a noisy world. Thank you for watching. This is Ayla, signing off.